As I sat with her, I realized how easily children speak their thoughts without understanding how deep those words can sink into a mother's heart, and while she ate her breakfast without a care in the world, I kept thinking about every moment. I had tried so hard to be the best parent I could be, and yet here I was feeling unsure because of one playful comment, and I wondered if every mother had moments like this when they question their worth, when they asked themselves if they were doing enough. And I thought about the days when I juggled work and chores and still tried to make time for her, and I thought about the nights when I stayed awake just to make sure she slept peacefully, and the mornings when I rushed around getting everything ready so her day could start smoothly, and all those moments suddenly felt small, fragile, and unnoticed in the shadow of the fun, easy adventures she had with her grandma, and a quiet sadness touched me because I wanted her to see the love behind everything I did, even the hard, exhausting parts. And while these thoughts crowded my mind, she looked up at me with wide, bright eyes, completely unaware of the storm inside me, and she laughed softly as if the world was perfect and simple for her, and in that laugh there was a kind of magic that reminded me she was still just a child and I was the adult carrying the weight of every unspoken worry and every hidden fear. And when she leaned closer and told me playfully that I should not look so serious, I felt something loosen inside me like a tight knot beginning to unwind, and I realized that maybe I was taking her comment too literally, and maybe I needed to breathe and remember that love between mothers and daughters is not fragile like glass but strong like roots that hold even when storms shake them. And in that moment, I felt something gentle inside me telling me to trust our bond more and fear it less, because no amount of ice cream or movie nights could replace the quiet, everyday love that builds between a mother and her child in the unseen moments. Later that day, I kept replaying the moment again and again in my mind, wondering why her words had touched me so deeply, and I realized it was because I had been running on empty for so long, trying to balance work, chores, parenting, and life, that even a small comment felt heavier than usual. And as I watched her play in the living room laughing with her dolls, I felt a soft ache inside me, a mix of love and worry blending together in a way only mothers understand, and I wondered if she noticed how hard I tried, or if my efforts were quietly fading into the background of her bright, happy world. And I sat on the couch thinking about Grandma, and how she always stepped into the fun, colorful role while I handled the late nights, early mornings, and endless responsibilities. And I loved that my daughter had someone who adored her and spoiled her and filled her days with joy, but deep down I questioned if I could ever compete with that kind of magic. And as these thoughts filled my heart, she suddenly ran toward me with her arms stretched wide and climbed onto my lap as if she sensed something in me shifting, and when she rested her head against my chest, something inside me softened because her warmth reminded me that she still saw me as her safe place. And in that moment, I felt a kind of peace settle over me, because no matter what she said earlier, this was proof that I mattered in ways she could not even explain yet. And she looked up at me and said, "Mom, I love you," in a voice so pure it felt like sunlight breaking through heavy clouds, and the words washed over every insecure thought I had carried all morning. And I held her close, feeling the rhythm of her small heartbeat against mine, and I realized that love does not need to be loud or flashy to be strong. Sometimes it is quiet, steady, and woven through everyday moments we hardly notice. And as she cuddled closer, I felt my fears slowly melting away like snow in the warmth of spring, because in her arms I understood that no one could replace the bond we share, not even the most magical grandma in the world. That evening, when the house grew quiet and the day slowed down, I found myself thinking again about the bond between my daughter and her grandma, and instead of feeling insecure, I started seeing the beauty in it, because grandma had been a strong part of my daughter's world since the day she was born, and every memory they shared was filled with laughter, love, and warmth that only a grandmother could give. And as I thought about it more, I realized that their closeness did not take anything away from me, it simply added more love to her life, and I knew deep down that having more love could never be a bad thing. And later, when my daughter was coloring on the floor, she looked up at me and smiled, the kind of smile that reaches straight into your heart, and she asked if I wanted to sit with her and draw. And even though my mind was heavy with thoughts, I sat down beside her, and she handed me a crayon with so much excitement that it made me forget every fear for a moment, and we drew simple shapes and silly little pictures while she talked about her day the way children do, freely and endlessly. And I listened to her voice filling the room and felt myself relaxing into the moment. And as we colored side by side, she mentioned Grandma again, but this time her tone was gentle and soft. She said, "Grandma is fun, but you are home," and those words hit me so deeply I felt them settle inside me like a healing touch, and it reminded me that children have their own simple ways of explaining love. And she was telling me in her own language that I was the safe place, the comfort, the center, that steady light she always returned to no matter how many adventures she had with Grandma. And I felt tears gather in my eyes, not from sadness but from the sudden, overwhelming realization that I had misunderstood her earlier comment completely, and while I was busy worrying about being replaced, she was simply expressing how much she enjoyed both of us in her life. And in that moment, sitting on the floor with crayons scattered around us, I felt something inside me heal a little more, as I understood that love is not a competition, it is a circle big enough for all of us. The next morning I woke up feeling lighter than before, but the conversation from the previous day still lingered in the back of my mind like a soft echo, and I decided that instead of overthinking everything I needed to understand what my daughter really felt, so I asked her gently if she remembered what she said about Grandma replacing me for a whole day, and she nodded with a small playful smile, as if it was just a fun little idea to her. Nothing serious, nothing deep, and she explained in her sweet childlike voice that she only said it because Grandma always lets her do silly things like eating ice cream before dinner or staying up late to watch cartoons, and hearing her explain it so simply made me realize that children see the world through colors and fun, not through the heavy emotions adults carry, and I felt a gentle wave of relief wash over me as I listened to her because it made me understand that her words were never meant to hurt me, they were just a reflection of her joy with Grandma, not a rejection of me. And when she finished talking, she climbed into my lap without hesitation, resting her head against my shoulder, and in that quiet moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of love fill the room, as if the universe wanted to remind me that I was still her mother, her comfort, her number one, even if I doubted myself at times. And as I held her, I began thinking about all the moments we had shared, the bedtime stories, the rainy day cuddles, the mornings when she would drag her blanket into my room just to be close to me, and the countless times she reached for my hand without thinking because I was her safe place. And those memories spread warmth through my heart like sunlight breaking into a cold room, and I realized then that real connection is built in small quiet moments that Grandma could never replace because they came from years of being together, of comforting her, of guiding her, of protecting her, of loving her through every season of her young life. And when she whispered softly, "Mom, you are the best," I felt every insecurity melt away because her words were simple, pure, and full of truth in the way only a child can express, and I understood then that my place in her heart was never in danger, not for a moment. As the day went on, I found myself watching my daughter with new eyes, trying to understand her little world the way she saw it, filled with fun, comfort, and simple happiness. And I realized that she lived in moments, not fears, and she lived in laughter, not doubts. And the more I thought about it, the more I understood that I had been judging myself too harshly, as if one comment could erase everything I had done for her. And while she played with her toys, humming softly to herself, I felt a wave of guilt, because I had allowed my insecurities to overpower the truth that she loved me deeply, even if she did not always express it the way adults would. And as I watched her move around the room with her innocent energy, I thought about the balance in our family, how Grandma brought excitement, softness, and treats, while I brought structure, comfort, and safety, and both were important, both were needed. And instead of feeling threatened, I began to appreciate how lucky she was to have more than one person who loved her so fully. And as the afternoon sun filled the living room, she came running toward me with her arms open wide and called out, "Mom, come play with me," and her voice was bright and full of trust, and that small moment wrapped itself around my heart like a warm embrace. And I got up and joined her, sitting on the floor while she told me the storyline of her little stuffed animals with the seriousness only a child can have. And as I listened, I realized how much she depended on me, not just for rules and routines, but for love, understanding, and connection. And between her animated stories, she suddenly looked at me with soft eyes and said, "Mom, I did not mean you go away, I was only playing." And the way she said it was so pure that it washed away any doubt that had lingered inside me. And I reached out and pulled her into a gentle hug, feeling her tiny arms wrap around my neck. And in that embrace, I understood that no fun moment with Grandma, no ice cream, no movie nights could ever replace the deep, steady bond between a mother and her child, because that bond is rooted in every worry, every sacrifice, every effort, every sleepless night, and every silent prayer whispered over a sleeping child. And as she leaned against me with her small heartbeat pressed against my chest, I felt a reassuring calm settle over me, reminding me that I was enough, and I always had been. That evening, as the sky turned soft with a fading light, I found myself sitting on the couch thinking about everything that had happened over the last 2 days, and I felt a strange mix of peace and reflection settle inside me. And my daughter climbed beside me, curling up close the way she always did when she wanted comfort or closeness. And in that moment, I realized how natural it was for her to come to me without hesitation, and how that simple gesture spoke louder than any words she could ever say. And as she rested her head on my arm, I began thinking about all the quiet ways our bond had grown over the years, the gentle routines, the whispered goodnights, the mornings filled with sleepy hugs, and even the chaotic days when nothing went as planned. And yet through all of it, she still reached for me again and again, because I was her mother, her center, her constant. And while Grandma played a beautiful role in her life, offering joy and spoiling and soft, fun-filled moments, it did not change the foundation that I had built with her through every sacrifice, every effort, and every moment of love. And as I watched her trace little circles on my sleeve with her tiny fingers, I felt a gentle truth settle over me, that motherhood was not about being the most fun or the most exciting, it was about being the one who stayed steady through every storm and every sunshine. And she looked up at me with sleepy eyes and said softly, "Mom, can we spend the whole day together tomorrow, just us, no Grandma today?" And her words poured over me like warm light, healing every doubt I had carried, and I smiled at her, feeling my heart grow full as I realized her earlier comment had never truly been about replacing me. It was just a moment of childlike playfulness and nothing more, and she snuggled closer and whispered, "You are my favorite person in the whole world," and those simple words wrapped around my heart like the softest hug, and I held her, gently breathing in the sweetness of the moment, as if the universe was reminding me once again that the love between a mother and child is strong, unshakable, and deeper than any fear. And as she drifted into sleep against my side, I felt a calm settle inside me, a calm that told me I was exactly where I needed to be and exactly who I needed to be for her. The next morning, I woke up feeling lighter and more confident than I had in days, and I watched my daughter as she woke up, stretching her small arms toward the ceiling with that effortless joy only children have, and I realized how much she thrived on love, connection, and presence rather than perfection or endless fun. And as she ran toward me calling, "Mom, wake up," I felt a rush of happiness that bubbled up from my chest, and in that moment I understood that being her mother was about showing up. Consistently being present, listening, and loving her through every small detail of her life. And as we sat together eating breakfast, she suddenly paused and said, "Mom, I love how you play with me," and her words touched me deeply because they reminded me that my efforts mattered even in the smallest ways. And that day I made a promise to myself to focus on our bond, to celebrate every shared moment, and to let go of unnecessary comparisons or insecurities that had crept in the previous days. And as the sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, I watched her laugh at something silly she had made up, and I felt a warm joy settle in my chest, a joy rooted not in games or ice cream, but in trust, connection, and mutual love. And we spent the day exploring simple activities together, painting, drawing, and making up stories with her stuffed animals, and each moment felt lighter, brighter, and full of shared laughter. And when she asked me to read her favorite story, I held her close as I had done countless times before, and I realized that the foundation of our relationship was not built on grand gestures, but on everyday presence and love. And as she snuggled into my lap, I reflected on how important it was for parents to remember that children value consistency and love more than perfection or constant entertainment. And in those quiet hours with her leaning against me, I felt proud of the mother I was becoming, proud that I had listened to her words and feelings, and proud that our bond was resilient, strong, and full of the quiet magic that only a mother and child share. And I knew that no comment, playful or teasing, could ever change the connection we had worked so hard to build, because love like ours grows and deepens with time, attention, and care. As the day came to a close and the sky turned soft shades of pink and gold, I held my daughter close, feeling the warmth of her little body pressed against mine, and I realized that the earlier comment about grandma replacing me had been nothing more than a playful thought from her young mind, and it had never been about me being inadequate or unimportant. And throughout the day, as we laughed, played, and shared stories, I felt our bond strengthen in ways that words cannot describe. And I thought about how children express love in ways that are simple, pure, and honest, and sometimes adults read too much into their innocent words. And as I tucked her into bed that night, she looked up at me with sleepy eyes and whispered, "Mom, you're the best," and I felt a rush of love so deep that it filled every corner of my heart. And I knew in that moment that being a mother is not about perfection, being the most fun, or always getting it right. It is about being present, patient, loving, and showing up every day in big ways and small. And as I kissed her forehead and turned off the light, I reflected on the lesson I had learned that day, that children need love, connection, and understanding more than anything else, and that even when they playfully suggest something impossible, it is never a reflection of their heart, it is only their curiosity or imagination speaking. And I sat by her bed watching her breathe peacefully, and I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the privilege of being her mother, and for the trust she placed in me. And I promised myself to cherish every moment, to listen more deeply to her words, to respond with love and patience, and to remember that our bond is unshakable because it is built on years of love, care, and shared experiences. And as I quietly left the room, I smiled, knowing that no one could ever replace the mother-daughter connection we had, not grandma, not anyone else. And I felt a calm joy settle over me, knowing that our love was enough, and we were enough, and that the laughter, the playfulness, and the everyday moments would always keep our hearts intertwined. And in that gentle, quiet night, I felt whole, proud, and deeply loved, just as I hoped my daughter felt too. Today I woke up expecting a normal, quiet morning, but life had planned something unexpected for me, because my daughter said something that felt like a soft joke and a sharp question at the same time. She looked at me with a playful sparkle in her eyes and said, "Mom, maybe grandma should replace you for a whole day." And the words floated in the air like a feather, but landed on my heart like a heavy stone. I felt a strange mix of emotions rising inside me: insecurity, confusion, and a small hint of humor, all twisting together. I wondered if I was doing enough as a parent, and I questioned if I had become too busy, too serious, or too tired to be the fun mother she wanted. As the thought sat in my chest, I looked at her and saw her innocence. She spoke without knowing how deeply her words could touch me, and for a moment I felt like I was losing my place, though I tried not to show it. I sat beside her quietly and watched her swing her feet happily while eating breakfast, unaware of the small storm she had created inside me, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized that she shared a special bond with her grandma, a playful, joyful, warm connection that sometimes made me wonder if I could ever match that energy in her eyes. Maybe grandma was the hero, the fun one, the comfort, the excitement, while I was the one handling homework, chore schedules, and responsibilities, and that thought made my heart feel heavy. But I asked her softly why she said that, and she smiled brightly, telling me it was because grandma gives her ice cream anytime she wants, and the simple answer made me want to laugh and cry both at once, because I knew grandma had always stepped in to help when I was working late or drowning under stress, and my daughter loved every moment she got with her. And as I sat there listening, I felt torn between love, gratitude, and insecurity, wondering if being a mother meant constantly doubting yourself, even on calm mornings like this. I kept thinking about all those moments when her grandma stepped in and made everything soft and easy like a warm blanket on a cold night, and I remembered the days when I was too tired to take my daughter out and grandma would scoop her up with a joyful laugh and take her for ice cream and adventures, and I remembered the movie nights they had together when I came home late from work and found them curled up on the couch with popcorn scattered everywhere and the room filled with light and laughter, and seeing them like that always made my heart melt, even though a tiny part of me wondered if I was missing out on the sweetest moments of her childhood. And as I watched my daughter eat her breakfast that morning, I felt that same ache returning, because her simple comment played on repeat inside my mind, making me wonder if I truly meant enough to her, or if I was slowly becoming the serious background character in her life while grandma took the spotlight. And even though I loved their bond, even though I was grateful for all the ways grandma helped us, I still felt that fragile question poking at me from inside. Did she want someone else more than me? I knew it was silly, but the fear still whispered and grew, and I tried to shake it off by reminding myself that motherhood is messy and confusing and filled with doubts that show up on the quietest mornings. And as I took a deep breath, my daughter suddenly looked at me as if she sensed something heavy in the air, and she tilted her head curiously, asking, "Mom, are you okay?" And her voice was soft and full of innocence, and it made my heart twist again, because she had no idea how powerful her words could be. And I told her gently that I was just thinking about what she said, and she gave me a bright, innocent smile, as if everything was normal and simple and easy for her. And in that moment I realized how different our worlds were, hers filled with fun and sweetness, and mine filled with responsibility, love, worry, and the endless desire to be enough for her.